Apart from what's been going on in question time, down at the National Press Club here in Canberra today, Mark Dreyfus, the Shadow Attorney General, gave a speech about the National Integrity Commission, this federal anti-corruption body that Labor's certainly pushing, the government too, and they did raise this in question time, is committed to setting it up, but it is taking a while, taking longer than many expected it would. Mark Dreyfus trying to put the pressure on them today in his speech and outline why the government's draft proposal really is a bit of a toothless tiger in his view, doesn't have the power, this body, to actually start its own inquiries, to compel witnesses, to look at the behaviour of politicians necessarily. During the speech and the questions, he also ruled out Labor supporting a blanket exemption for journalists from prosecution for handling classified documents. This is all about, well, the push for press freedom after the raids we saw on the home of Annika Smethurst, the News Corp journalist, and the ABC head offices in Sydney. The opposition wants to strengthen protections for press freedom, but the Shadow Attorney General says journalists can't be completely exempt from the Crimes Act.
I think a blanket exemption is difficult. It shouldn't be the case that simply being a card-carrying member of the Media, Entertainment and Arts Alliance exempts you from all legal sanction. And I could think of, going right back to the 1950s and probably in every decade since, various foreign spies using journalist as their cover. So it's quite a common and useful cover because journalists can go almost everywhere and ask questions almost everywhere. That's a good thing. So I don't think that a blanket exemption is going to work very well, but we've got to find a way that journalists are not prosecuted for doing their ordinary work.
He's also agreed there is a need for a Religious Discrimination Act, while remaining concerned about some of the details of what the government's put forward here. A draft exposure bill's been released by the Attorney General, designed to protect people from being discriminated against based on their faith. Labor wants to make sure whatever happens here with the federal law doesn't necessarily override state laws and allow or greater licence to discriminate against LGBTI groups or others. But Mark Dreyfus does agree there is a need for some new law here.
There's a number of groups in the Australian community that have suffered discrimination because of their religious belief. And the community that most springs to mind in recent years would be the Muslim community among us, who directly suffer discrimination in employment and the provision of services. And I think that it's absolutely a worthwhile innovation that the Attorney General has produced to add this additional ground of discrimination to our existing set of anti-discrimination laws.